What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode from the 10-7 MMA Show with myself, Huzefa, and Justin, Guitar Hero James. And Justin, why don't you tell us before we get going, what are you doing right now?
Man, it's fight week, baby. Just get a little sweat going, get my little walk on, burn a couple calories here. I got weigh-ins Thursday at 1 p.m. And then, as you know, we scrapping Friday night. So, there's no excuse not to get on the treadmill when you're getting ready for a fight. So that's why I'm here.
Right on. And for people who are checking this out and might be interested, what is the fight promotion and how can they get tickets?
Yeah, man, if anybody in Vegas coming to check out, I'm fighting at Tough Enough, one of the biggest regional, if not the biggest regional show in the U.S. To sign people to the UFC. I fought for him as an amateur. It's my first time fighting for him as a pro. I'm really excited. If you guys are interested in getting tickets, go to my Instagram, JAY09MI. Look in the bio, and you'll see Tough Enough tickets there. If you guys want to watch it, stream it. It's going to be on UFC Fight Pass. Show starts at 7 p.m. on Friday.
All right, and before we, oh yeah, that's awesome. So by the way, I'm going to be there in attendance. I can't wait. Now, before we jump in, I did want to ask you, and I thought this was an interesting thing that we could talk about. You showed me that the odds were against you, basically, right? I think that the percentages I saw, they gave a percentage breakdown, and they were saying 89% favored your opponent. And you told me that you actually prefer it that way. Like, you tremendously like it that way. You don't like it when you're favored. Because tell us a little bit about that. Why do you like it this way?
I've just always been an underdog my whole life, man. Everyone, before I got to the UFC when I was an amateur, people told me that I would never get to the UFC. So I moved to Vegas, got to the UFC. People tell me I'm going to lose. When I fought Troy Lampson, he was 25-0 between his amateur and his pro record. He was like 7-0 as a pro, 18-0 as an amateur. I go in there, beat the fuck out of him. I do my best work when my back's against the wall. And, I'm fighting in Vegas, in my hometown, 5 miles from my house. My family's going to be there. My friends are going to be there. My clients are going to be there. My students are going to be there. When I say students, I mean adult students. I mean kids 8, 9, 10 years old are going to be there. They get to come watch the Guitar Hero do work live. So, it's one thing to talk when I'm in practice and saying, you got to do it this way because of this and because of that. But it's another thing to be able to walk the walk in front of everybody. So I'm really excited about it.
And just out of curiosity, do you think this is a common trait amongst professional fighters that they actually don't like being favored to win? Or is this something that you think is unique to you?
I think every fighter is in their own. I know a lot of guys, they see themselves as a big underdog and like, all right, well, I don't really care what happens in this fight. That's not me. I want to put a staple on this fight. I want to knock this motherfucker out. I was talking to Ron Frazier, one of the head coaches at the gym, one of Randy Couture's coaches this morning. He asked me about my game plan. And, I say this every time. My game plan is to hit him harder than he hits me, dude. It's going to be an exciting fight. He's an incredible world-class kickboxer. And, I'm pretty good at kickboxing myself. So let's see who can persevere through the storm, because I'm pretty sure both of us are going to get hit. I'm pretty sure both of us are going to get hurt. Let's see who wants it more.
Sick. All right. Well, I can't wait for this fight on Friday. I'm very much looking forward to it, and I will be there as close as my tickets will allow me to be. So yeah, that's gonna be awesome. All right. And people, if you're listening, check it out. If you're in Vegas this weekend, we definitely love to see you. All right. But there's a lot of stuff. And by the way, so Western Mass Climber says AO, who's getting beat up Friday. I don't know. Did you drop the guy's name? What's the guy's name?
I can't pronounce his name, and I don't want to say it.
All right, no
it's
worries.
3 inches long. He calls himself the Mongol. He's a one championship fighter coming over from Asia. He trains at Team Elevation. His name is fucking this long on text, so.
Okay. No worries. All right. Well, you have to come if you want to know who it is. Let's put it like that. All right. So there's a lot of actually crazy news this week. I didn't put this down as an official topic, but it's funny. People just keep banging on about John Jones. Our short, we made a short where you were kind of giving your opinion, like, hey, John Jones has earned to do whatever he wants to do. I didn't want to make it a big topic, but I just want to reiterate that to everybody. And I feel just as you do that he has earned whatever he wants to do. Moreover, he's not the one ducking Tom Aspinall. I'm so tired of people saying that. He has a contract with the UFC to fight Stipe. The UFC wants to put the Stipe fight on. And what about Stipe? Stipe wants to fight too. So I'm just so sick of everybody coming after John Jones. I think it's ridiculous. So, John, I want to see that Stipe fight. And that is what it is. So I'm looking forward to that fight in November. Okay. So topic number 1, this is crazy, man. Khalil Rountree was supposed to fight your boy Jamal Hill, and that was going to be such a great fight. I think it was supposed to be on UFC 303 too with Conor, and then this comes out 2 days ago. All right, so I want to show you guys the exact news article so you can see the actual phrasing in the article. And then Justin, I want to turn over to you to see like what are your thoughts. But look, basically what happened was he unintentionally took a banned substance and immediately took it upon himself to report it to Jeff Novinsky, UFC senior vice president of anti-doping compliance. And then he says he just reported it of his own. So what it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, what it sounds like is he didn't actually get tested. He realized that he took a tainted supplement and tried to get ahead of it. So he immediately kind of like told on himself, hey guys, this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. Now what's and the substance is called DHEA, which I've heard on other people's shows saying that this is a very common substance that can taint supplements. Okay. So I've heard a couple different perspectives on this. Obviously, the one perspective is Khalil Rountree is being completely honest. He didn't mean to do it. As soon as he figured it out, he let the powers that be know, trying to do the right thing. When you hear something like that, and he may be out for 3 years, some people are saying, this is insane. What are your thoughts when you hear something like this? Do you think, there's something shady going on, or do you think it was a legitimate mistake?
I mean, it sounds legitimate to me, man. He turned himself in, and it's funny because that he goes and takes it upon himself, realizes he does something wrong. Hey, man, trying to correct his wrongs. It's just like that toddler that gets scolded for being honest with their parent. So what does that toddler do? He starts to lie. And that's what everyone's going to start doing is you should be rewarded. If you make a mistake and you come forward about that mistake, they should have some leniency. Now, should there be some kind of repercussion or look further in? Of course. But this is this guy's life. And this guy came out and said, hey, look, I think I made a mistake. This happened. Like, now they're like, all right, fuck you for 3 years. Well, guess what? The next guy that takes that supplement isn't going to tell on himself and probably get away with it. It's right. It's crazy because that's how hunting laws are in Nevada. So right now, I know this guy that he was coyote hunting and he ends up shooting this monster coyote. When he gets to it, it wasn't a coyote, it was a wolf. And, normally you think, all right, let's turn this in, let them know that wolves are in the area. They said, fuck that. We're not turning this in because if you shoot a wolf in Nevada, you're going to jail. So they just left it. These governing bodies are encouraging people to lie. They're encouraging people to hide their mistakes. It's fucking ridiculous. Like this guy turned himself in and said, hey man, I made a mistake. All right, let's punish him to the maximum. Well, guess what? The next guy that makes that mistake isn't going to turn himself in. And now there's going to be a big controversy and he might get away with it. I fucking hate how the governing body works. It's like I had to test myself. I failed a marijuana test in 2021. Now I have to, out of pocket, $1,000, have to pay for all my drug testing because of marijuana, which isn't even illegal anymore.
Right.
Governing bodies, they have zero leniency, and all they're doing is encouraging fighters to lie. That's all they're doing. Because why would anybody be honest, fearing that, hey, if I'm honest, I know I made a mistake and I'm honest, then I'm going to lose my job or lose my career or lose money. And the fines are ridiculous. The commission is so greedy for money. I think I had to pay a $2,500 fine for eating edibles days before my last fight in the UFC, and I have to pay $1,000 now going into this fight to test for 3 drug tests prior. I have to get tested 30 days out, 15 days out, and 3 days out, and the night of the fight out of my own pocket. Bro, these governing commissions are so crooked. None of them are athletes. I shouldn't say none of them because there are some athletes, of course. So let me take that back. But it's just fucking bullshit, and I hate how they're doing it because all they're doing is encouraging athletes to lie.
Very interesting. Yeah, I think that makes sense. There should be some reward system, I suppose, for stepping forward. Now, Khalil Roundtree, he's on a 5-fight win streak, and he's also 34 years old. Something like this seems to be coming at a really terrible time, right? 34, you're kind of in the midst of your prime. He's hot. He's killing it. He had a huge fight scheduled. I mean, let's say everything goes forward the way we see it. He's going to get a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year suspension, something like that. Like a major.
So there are guidelines on depending on how many times he's popped. So has he ever popped for steroids before or anything else before?
Good question. Let me see. I don't believe so that I've read.
Your first time is kind of a slap on the wrist. I think it's 6 months Mine was 6 months for marijuana, and I don't know if it's anabolic is going to be more than that. But I know my first offense was 6 months. Second offense was going to be 1 year, and I have no idea what the next offense would be.
Yeah, you know what? That's just something that I heard in passing on one of the shows I was watching, that it could be up to 3 years. So I don't know. I don't know if he's had multiple offenses or not. Let's say best case scenario, 6 months. He takes the time off. Obviously, he misses out on this huge fight against Jamal Hill. I assume they're going to find Jamal a replacement fighter. What do you see from the fighter mentality? Is it something easy to bounce back from? Is it something that's going to just cause mental, a lot of mental anguish and potentially compromise his winning streak? Does it depend from fighter to fighter? What do you anticipate?
I mean, it just really depends where his head's at. Maybe he'll take fucking 3 out of that 6 months. Maybe he'll take 3 months off, get his head right, go on vacation with his family, and then get back in the gym. And then right as soon as his suspension's listed, let's say his suspension is, we'll say January 1st, just an easy date to remember. Suspension till January 1st. He books a fight January 10th and does his whole fight camp, October, November, December, January. There's 4 months. I mean, he can be right back with a 6th win by early next year or late next year for that. Or I will say early next year, say 6 months.
Okay. All right. Well, let's hope for that. This was going to be such an exciting fight for everybody who loves good stand-up. Him versus Jamal Hill. Hopefully they get him another awesome matchup, and he keeps going on his rise to the top, because I think he is on a really great run, and we'd all love to see him fight again, especially after that last victory against Anthony Smith. All right. Now, story number 2. This is pretty wild. I don't know what your thoughts are on this. Obviously, we still have some unproven sort of like we don't exactly know what to expect from Conor McGregor, but Islam Makhachev has come out and said he's down to fight Conor. Hold on, I want to show you this clip. 1 second. So check this out. I thought this was pretty wild, and I'm going to tell you why in a second. Regardless of the actual competitiveness of the fight, check this out.
He just finished Conor twice.
Why you say he finished Conor twice? But everybody can finish Conor 10 times.
This biggest fight in the UFC. This one of the biggest. I think Khabib's still number 1, but I think this.
I don't think you that way, brother. Why not? If people have to be stupid, say no. Of course, I will fight this him.
Would you skip Arman Saruki to fight Conor McGregor?
Brother, when I will fight next, like October or November, I can fight August or September with McGregor.
So what he's saying is, I don't know, he's like half joking or not, but he's basically saying, hey, throw McGregor in September. He'll do a quick turnaround by October and fight Sarukian. So that's what he's throwing out there. But I think it's pretty interesting, and I just want to get your thoughts, because again, we go back to this massive feud, this massive beef between Conor's camp and Khabib's camp, and we're going to see a reboot of that if they indeed do fight, which again adds so many more stakes and levels to this fight against Michael Chandler. I mean, I think it's almost a foregone conclusion that if Conor gets the victory, he might get a title shot if that's what he wants at 155. Now, you might come back and say, I don't think this is going to be competitive. I think Conor's best years are behind him. I don't know, though. I think if he trains to the max, and if you even listen to Dan Hardy, for example, when Conor puts his mind to it, Dan Hardy is picking Conor McGregor in this fight. He thinks he's too sharp for Michael Chandler with his striking and with his accuracy. So I think there could be a lot that could happen here. He could get the victory, and if he really works on his training. Now, I rewatched the fight, by the way, last night. This morning, Khabib against Conor. I know that was a long time ago, but dude, Conor had some really good anti-wrestling, some really good takedown defense. I mean, he was working
until he did.
But he lasted to the 4th round.
Yeah. That's true. Was it a 3rd round or 4th? I thought it was 3rd.
Fourth round finish. He won the 3rd round. His striking was great in the 3rd round. He was tagging Khabib up. Now, I do think Khabib probably got tagged up because he was being stubborn, is my conclusion. Because I know that Javier Mendez talked later on a podcast saying that's not what the plan was, to go and strike toe-to-toe with Conor. But I think Khabib had a point to prove that he could stand and bang. So I don't know if that opportunity will present itself again, but you never know. But it was a very, very interesting. So yeah. Take it away. Give me your thoughts on this and the potential for the fight buildup, which would be insane.
I mean, I'm more excited about the fight buildup than the actual fight. I mean, Conor McGregor is powerful. He's a very, very powerful southpaw. That straight left down the pipe is fucking money. He's shown it time and time again. With that being said, Islam Makhachev, the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. He's dethroned the number 2 pound-for-pound fighter twice in a row. All right? This I mean, obviously Conor's going to be a dog in this fight, but he has that puncher's chance. You know, Islam has been knocked out before. Conor has knockout power. Do I
Yep.
think Conor will win this fight? I don't. But could he? Yes. And I tell you what, I've been wrong on Conor McGregor 9 out of 10 times, dude. Every time I put money on Jose Aldo. I put money on Nate Diaz both times. Like, he's proven me wrong and time again, you know. But the thing I look at is his financial situation. And a lot of people don't understand that. When you're rich, what are you motivated for? When you've already been the champ, what are you motivated? He was the double champ. Like, he wants to run through that gauntlet again and fight the best fighters in the world. Like, the guy has a fucking $10 million yacht. I'd rather be out there fucking bitches than fucking training. All right, he's already done the best thing, and he's already done everything that he can do. I don't really understand what his motivation will be. And maybe he has motivation. I don't know. I just I can't imagine after everything he's went through, all the ups and downs and the broken leg and the adversity and the perseverance and the highs and the lows. Why? What's his motivation to train? So, I mean,
Now-
maybe because he was embarrassed by Khabib, he wants to redeem, and because everyone says Islam is better than Khabib. Okay, there's some motivation. But again, I mean, it's going to be tough for him to get motivated. I don't care what he says. I mean, we always say we're motivated. We always do. But that doesn't mean it's true.
I think that when it comes down to the financial component that gets talked about all the time, right? Dana White mentions it, etc. I don't really buy into that narrative. Actually, it's really interesting. We were just having a conversation last week about entrepreneurship and the notion of a lot of entrepreneurs that, let's say, start a business and make 10 million, 100 million, you know, maybe even $500 million in the sale. And what do they want to do? Maybe they take some time off, but they eventually want to get back in the game. And I think I can relate to that as well. It's the process of creation, of building things, like just like we're building this podcast, like watching it grow little by little. Dude, there's no bigger rush in the world than building something from the ground up and watching it kind of blossom. And I have to believe, obviously there's one difference with fighting, which is you put your health and well-being on the line.
Yeah, and that's not to cut you off, but that's huge,
go
man.
ahead.
Like as I'm 34 years old, I can't spar like I used to. I used to come into the gym, pro practice, I'd go 5-8 rounds, and it'd be a fight every fucking round. Evan Dunham, Gray Maynard, Tyson Griffin, Martin Kampman, Randy Couture, John Gunderson. But I'm 34 years old. I can't take that abuse anymore. I don't even spar with the pros anymore. I'll get 4 or 5 guys that I trust, that I can work with, you know, Mads Burnell, like that I can work with, and I'm not going to get hurt, you know? And, you know, some people say it's an edge, not taking the damage like I used to. And some people, like Brad Tavares, on the other hand, who's been in the UFC, good friend of mine, you know, he still spars hard. Sean Strickland still spars hard at least twice a week. So they say it's a disadvantage not to. I don't know yet. But at the end of the day, I mean, taking that damage takes a toll, man, especially head damage, especially his broken leg. You know, he's coming off a juice cycle. You know, he was on a juice cycle for his recovery, which is fine. I don't hate him for it, but he's coming off a juice cycle. Where's his confidence going to be, man? And just knowing you have to wake up in the morning and go get punched in the face against some of the best fighters in the world to get ready to fight the best fighter in the world, it's hard to get motivated, I think.
It could be, and I think it's a really personal question from person to person. I do think that Conor might have a chip on his shoulder, or maybe he does love that process of like creating a beautiful fight. Like, I have a feeling he views it like art. Like, I want to create another masterpiece. I want to create another story for everybody to talk about. Like, I do think he loves that. I guess the question will be, you know, will that be enough to push him to have just an amazing training camp and get laser focused again? Because I do think, or I want to think, I just want to believe. I want to believe in the superhero. I want to believe in this happy ending. Because even if he beats Michael Chandler, and let's say he loses to Islam, but if he just gets that fight, like, that would be such a dope ending to his story. And then maybe he rides off into the sunset, fights bare knuckle or something like that. But I want to see that one more time. Just have him go for the gold. God, imagine. And
I would love it. I would love it. I don't want you to think I'm Conor hater. I would love to see him go in there and knock out Islam, because the presser would just be incredible. The post fight would be incredible. I would love it. It'd be great for the business.
So good. Like, dude, imagine, let's just imagine. I'm going into imagination time. I don't know if other shows do this, but I love imagination time. Imagine if Conor beats Chandler in decisive fashion. He calls out Islam. He gets the fight. And just imagine they have an all-out brawl and Conor somehow pulls it off and beats the #1 pound for pound. I mean, dude, bro, what would happen? It would be like the universe would implode. It would be insane. comes back.
Dana White would have an orgasm right on camera. Like, it would be the
Yep.
biggest thing to ever happen to him. He'd talk about it, and it'd be the most incredible thing to ever happen in the UFC.
It would be
And-
the most incredible thing, arguably, in sports. I can't even think of anything bigger. Well, I'm a UFC fan, so maybe I'm biased.
And you know,
but
when you
bigger?
say it like that, that might be enough motivation. That
It
might be
might
enough.
be.
But again, we can't overlooking. We're doing something that we shouldn't do. We're overlooking Michael Chandler. We think
Right.
we're already talking like he's already going to beat him. Michael
No,
Chandler
right.
is a fucking dog. Can
Yeah,
Conor get by Michael Chandler? He has a tall task in front of him. This is not a Dennis Seaver fight. He's not going in there knocking this guy out in the first round. I don't think. Not saying it's impossible. I said that about Jose Aldo too. So, you know, Michael Chandler's a fucking dog, man. And honestly, when I watch that fight, that's what's going to dictate how I feel about the Islam fight, win or lose.
Yeah, I agree. And the one thing,
What's the date on that fight?
for Conor versus Chandler,
Michael.
June 29th. June 29th.
Oh, fuck. Oh, I'll be in Spain. Oh, shit.
It's gonna be wild, dude. That UFC 303 is gonna be so good.
You going to be in Spain with me or what?
Let's see. I don't know yet. I haven't made any plans yet, but I'm definitely open to it. I'd love to. I haven't been to Spain in a long time. Okay. And by the way, actually, Western Mass Climber made a good point. Don't write off Dustin. That's true. What are we doing?
Yeah,
but it's just fantasy land. And by the way, what if Dustin wins and calls out Conor for a final rematch? What about that? That's also wild. Dude, it's just too good. It's too good if Conor can go in and get a victory and get a title shot. So I think whatever, it'll be too much fun. So let's see what happens. All right, moving on. Now, we talked a lot about Ian Garry and Colby Covington, and this fight apparently is just not happening because I don't think it's official, but I think it's pretty much done because both Ian Garry and Michael Venom Page have confirmed this. It looks like these two guys are fighting. And this might be a title contention fight. So we've got Ian McGarry, really tough up and comer. Michael Venom Page, more on the vet side. Amazing striking, as we saw against Kevin Holland in his UFC debut. Obviously, has had an amazing run in Bellator. Justin, what are your thoughts? I mean, you've said on record so many times how dangerous Ian Garry is. This is such a crazy, bizarre matchup, in my opinion, of two really good strikers. But obviously, maybe Ian Garry has a bit of an advantage on the ground. Who knows? But what are your initial thoughts on this?
I wanted the Colby fight more, but this is a very, very exciting, explosive fight. Michael Venom Page comes out. He puts on a show every time he fights. He has that awkward Taekwondo style. He switches the stance. He has knees. He has elbows. He's coming in. He's out. Look at, on the other hand, you have Ian Garry, one of the best kickboxers in the UFC right now. I do think Ian Garry has the advantage in the grappling and the wrestling. You know, you don't see Michael Venom Page use it very often. Plus, he's 37 or 38 years old. You know, so I think this is the UFC, giving Ian Garry that chance to knock out this guy, but also giving Venom Page the chance to test himself against a high-level striker. I don't think this is a title contention fight, seeing it's only Venom Page's second fight in the UFC. And Ian Garry, I'm not sure what he's ranked.
7. I think
he's ranked 7. Yeah, I think he's going to have to win 1 or 2 more. If he beats Venom Page, he's going to have to be the top 5 or a top 3 guy, maybe Colby again, maybe after this fight. But, man, I'm excited about this fight. This needs to be – I wish this was – I don't know. Is it a main event or what?
No, I don't think so. Here, let me see where.
I think it should be definitely a featured fight for sure, or a co-main. This is an incredible fight. This is going to be exciting. We're talking about, again, 2 of the most dynamic strikers in the UFC right now. I do think that Venom Page plays with his hands a little too low to fight Ian Garry, but I've been known to be wrong before, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think they're still deciding whether or not it's going to be on the Manchester card or on 303 with Conor, and I think Ian Garry wants the card with Conor. And Michael Venom Page, in the last interview that I heard of him, he's down for whatever. He's down to be on any card, whatever time. He said if he had to wait for next week, he would do it next week. So I think this fight is happening. Man, I was kind of more excited for the Colby fight, but who knows? This could be interesting. Ian Garry beats Michael Venom Page. Maybe Colby sits out. Then maybe Ian Garry jumps Colby in the rankings. And then maybe now Colby will want to fight him. Who knows?
Exactly. Yep. And honestly, I'd like to see Colby fight either of these guys.
Yeah.
I think the winner should fight Colby regardless.
Interesting. Well, if he takes it, I guess he seems to be calling out Bilal now, who's obviously fighting Leon. So the whole thing
again, another boring ass fighter. He's calling off guys that he has good matches with, and that's fine. I get it from the fighter perspective, but it's so obvious and transparent. Fight one of these high level strikers. You want to be the champion? Fight one of these high level strikers.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, just speaking of which, so this is slightly off topic, but I did hear, if you guys haven't had a chance yet, shout out to MMA Hour. Obviously, watch it every week. But I did hear Leon Edwards' interview today on the MMA Hour. It's so cool, man. Leon is just like, there's no BS in him. Like when he talks about fighting Bilal, like he's just so confident and is so genuine. Like he believes in his heart of hearts. He said this, and I believe him. Like I believe that he really thinks this. And I do think it actually might be true too in reality, right? But he said that if he fought Bilal 10 times, he would win 10 out of 10 times. So he's like, that's it. So just bring it on. He's like, yes, Bilal's improved and he's gotten better, but he's like, I'm a better athlete. I'm a better fighter. That's how it's gonna go. Super. I just love seeing that genuine confidence, and I think it's accurate. So anyway, just throw that out. Check that interview out. Leon's a fun interview to check out. Okay, number 4. Countdown to Khamzat versus Whittaker. So I want to talk about this a little bit for 2 reasons. One, I saw a countdown video about this fight yesterday and I got so amped for it. That's number 1. But the number 2 thing I want to talk about, and this was really crazy. So James Lynch does this series on fighters predicting fighters, right? So he goes through a bunch of UFC fighters and asks them what do they think on the matchup. Dude, it was like vast majority of people were picking Robert Whittaker over Khamzat.
Really?
And I was pretty shocked by that because I feel strongly that Khamzat's going to have the edge here. I mean, where do you lie on that debate?
Before hearing that, again, I'm with you. I think Khamzat would have the edge. He has a great pace. He's a great wrestler. With that being said, we're talking about Robert Whittaker. Man, the experience he brings to the cage. This guy, I mean, he's been knocked out a couple times, but Khamzat isn't really a knockout artist, man. Obviously he's going to be preparing his wrestling and his grappling to defend on the fence, and so on and so forth. Now that you've said that, and I'm kind of like trying to think of it from the other side, man, I can kind of see that. Again, Robert, when he's lost, he hasn't been submitted. He's been knocked out. If I'm not mistaken, I'm sure you can look up his topology right now.
I'll check it out. I think that's right. And then somebody also said, I don't know if I bought this though. They were like, well, he fought Yoel Romero and Yoel Romero couldn't take him down. But Yoel Romero doesn't, even though he's a Olympic wrestler, he doesn't really use his wrestling much. So I don't know if that was a valid point. But I mean, remember, he did have the knockout at middleweight against Gerald Mearshart. You remember that 1-punch knockout?
Robert?
No, Khamzat.
Oh yeah. That's true. Yeah.
His striking, he trains at Tiger Muay Thai in Thailand. I've heard his striking, like people before that knockout were like, yeah, his grappling is good, but you guys have no idea. Like his striking is crazy. And I think the reason why we didn't see more aggressive striking in the Kamaru Usman fight is, remember, he thought he broke his hand in the first round. And then he like tapered everything back and wasn't even going for many takedowns. Anyways, it's just context to remember. Obviously, I'm biased. I'm a massive Khamzat fan. He's my favorite fighter in the UFC. But I mean, I do think he's pretty dangerous on all fronts. And I do think he's just so aggressive. And as Anthony Smith put it, which I'll take it to another level, but Anthony Smith says Khamzat is the most dangerous fighter in the UFC in round 1. But I think it'd be true even in round 2 and round 3. I think his cardio is being so underestimated.
Well, you look at when he fought Dustin Burns. It looked like he gassed out.
Burns, yeah.
Anytime he's been going into the 3rd round, there's been a couple times you see a look on his face that he looks deflated, and that's totally against everything he talks about. And trust me, I've been there, man. I've been broken going into the 3rd round, trying to dig deep. So maybe it's a wrong read, but I remember when he fought Dustin, and he went in that late round, man. I remember the look on his face looks like, oh shit, I'm in a fight. So if Robert Whittaker can survive that 1st round, take him, especially if this is a 5-round fight.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, dude. I mean, Robert's been there and done that, dude. He's done a bunch of 5-round fights. I think he'll have the advantage there with experience. But again, I think the odds will say that Khamzat is going to be the favorite in this fight.
It's just such a wild fight, man. I can't even, like, this is another one that's just so interesting and exciting. And it's 2 really, really likable fighters that, like, again, I'm a big fan of both of them. I think most people are. It's just so crazy. This month of June is insanity. Oh, yeah. Well, I think you misspoke. Western Mass Climber said Dustin Burns. You meant Gilbert Burns, right?
Gilbert Burns.
Yeah. No, it's all good. Western Mass Climber said Khamzat's kicks are awful. I don't know. I mean, really? I mean, I've seen him on the pads. His kicks look good to me, but maybe tell us more about where you're referencing that from. I'd be curious to know. Okay, let's move on to topic number 5. This is totally out of left field. This is insane. Did you see this? June 15th. Chael Sonnen versus Anderson
Well,
Silva.
before I saw that, I thought I saw Terry Crews versus Anderson Silva. Terry came out, made a video, said I'm fighting the Spider in boxing, and then I saw this. Like, so I don't know what.
Hold on, let me make sure I'm not getting trolled here. But I double checked it on ESPN too, because I saw what you're talking about. Yeah, look, it's on ESPN. I know what you're talking about. I saw Terry Crews say that or whatever, but it's on ESPN. Here, I'm going to show you guys the story right now. I don't even know what to make of this. I really don't. Okay, hold on.
I mean, what is
And they're
Chael doing?
and
He must need money. He's
they're
gonna get
fighting.
knocked out.
They're fighting in Brazil. Yeah,
Exactly.
this is crazy. Why is he doing this? Like, right? He must be. Sonnen is 47. Silva's 49. Sonnen must be such an underdog in the striking match. I mean, is this even? What do you think the odds are going to be?
I mean, I bet it's minus 1,200 for the Spider. I mean, when's Chael Sonnen ever hurt anybody with his hands?
This is crazy. Yeah, I don't know what's happening here.
They're
Anyway,
probably giving him millions and millions.
maybe they're giving him a lot. Yeah, it might be. And he's going to go talk all smack again. Oh, my God. It's been so long since we've heard Chael Sonnen go off on the mic. This is going to be great. The only problem is it's kind of like weird talking smack to Anderson Silva because he's such like a cool-headed, like super nice dude. So it's
And he
gonna
whooped his ass.
Yeah.
The last time. First time he
Yeah.
didn't, but the last time he did.
Yeah, so it's gonna be very weird energy when it's like that. You always want. That's why Conor and Ian Garry against Colby would have been so good. Oh, it's such a missed opportunity. But anyways, well, June 15th, that's rolling up, and so I guess I'm gonna probably tune into this fight just because I'm curious to see what happens, and it might be a quick one. But yeah, I do want to see it. One thing we didn't talk about, and I know because you probably didn't watch the fight, and I didn't really care about it. We didn't talk about the Tyson Fury fight that did happen this weekend against Alexander Usyk. I have listened to a lot of commentators talk about it, and they are saying that, hey, it was an amazing boxing match. Props to Usyk. I think MMA Guru and a lot of other folks had predicted that Usyk would win, and I guess it's the first time that the belt's been unified in a super long time. So just throwing it out there. We're not really big boxing fans, right, Justin? I mean, I'm assuming you didn't really pay attention to that fight.
I didn't watch it. I heard it was a great fight, but everyone said that Ryan Garcia and that fight was great too. I thought it was boring. Just going from watching MMA to boxing just doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah. And one thing I do want to do, actually, there was a bare knuckle event in Omaha over the weekend. I think on Friday, and let us know in the comments if you want to see us cover more bare knuckle, because I think we're going to. It's an amazing sport. So I think we're gonna review some of those fights from Bare Knuckle FC in Omaha Friday. Hopefully, we'll look at some highlight reels. But Friday, maybe we'll be doing the show from Vegas. Well, I don't even know if you'll be able to do it because you're going to be prepping for the fight. So
I'll
maybe
be chill. We'll be rocking Friday.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll do it in person, maybe from Vegas. So anyways, guys, that's it for our Monday show. Thank you so much for rocking with us again. This has been a blast. If you could like the video, if you did like it, make sure to click that like button. If you want to see more from the 10-7 MMA show, make sure to click subscribe and let us know in the comments what else you want us to talk about or what else you want us to hear our thoughts on. Western Mass Climber says he does love BKFC. So there we go. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we will see you next time. Take it easy.